Truth be told, he's always been a hustler on a mission. Mission for greatness. Some people are naturally blessed with the hustler's ambition. Now, this story is one that we're all quite familiar with. This man had talent and a dream. Three things that he always had besides his 45 were intelligence, ambition, and intuition. Hustler is not simply born. The true hustler is created as he adapts to the bullshit this world throws at him.
This is Andre of Big Gemini Kennels, aka BGK. Welcome back. Smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, drop a comment, let us know what you're thinking. Make sure you hit that alert button so that you're notified every time we drop content, and that's gonna be frequently because we came to drop bombs. Beast mode.
Hey, what up? So today, Dre BGK is here to hit you with a story time. Let's get ready for a BGK story time.
This is about the time that I bought a beautiful adult dog that the entire internet was going nuts over, and it randomly tried to kill my cousin. Yeah, that happened. Hey, what's up to my YouTube fam? It's Andre from BGK coming back at you with another story time. Now, today's story time is going to be about Sienna, XB's Sienna of BGK. Now, let me tell you this. A lot of people have asked me about the temperament of XL American bullies, or what we like to call large pit bulls, but actually they're XL American bullies, which means big bullies, right? They ask me about their temperament and they be like, are they really dangerous? Are my kids in danger? Am I in danger? They'll ask me, is there really a such thing as an XL American bully or a big pit bull that would just turn out of the blue for no apparent reason at all? I mean, literally no reason, and try to attack you, randomly attack you. Now, I'm an advocate for the breed. I'm an ambassador for the breed. And when I'm talking about the breed, I'm speaking of the XL American bully, but it happens to be pit bulls as well, because even though I am an XL American bully breeder, a lot of people assume that my dogs are big pit bulls because that's exactly what they look like. They look like supersized pit bulls, right? That's why my Instagram is actually at largest pit bulls, because that's what everybody thinks. Then I kind of educate them that I am actually an XL American bully breeder. So they'll ask me that, and I hate to tell you this, but the answer is yes. Yes, there are certain dogs from certain bloodlines, and there's only certain bloodlines I've seen this happen in, where they will actually display what we call rage syndrome, or a true HA. HA stands for human aggression, right? Now, I will not tolerate that from any dog that I've ever produced or any dog that I'm looking to breed to, right? If I breed that type of trait, I'm going to call it. And in the breeding world, the word call means to kill. It means to eliminate, right? If you have a pup or a dog or whatever it is that is displaying a super undesirable trait, then you will call it. Now, that is an extreme thing to do, and today's breeders are a lot more penny-waist and sugar-footed, so they probably would be very hesitant to call a dog. Now, I'm more of an old-school breeder that was raised by old-school breeders and taught by old-school breeders, so I still go by the old code. And if I have to call a dog, do I want to hurt a dog or kill a dog? Of course not. I love dogs. They're one of the most magnificent special animals on the planet, but yes, I will do so. Now, when I began developing the BGK bloodline, one of the things I knew was that I had to be very conscientious of the temperament of the dogs that I chose to breed to, as well as the productions that I chose to keep in my program as a part of my breeding team. So I was very selective in the dogs that I chose. They had to have a certain temperament. Now, my dogs are known for being very kid friendly, very family oriented, very strong guardian instincts. So they're a well balanced dog, and that's super important to me. I want them to be friendly with the kids, friendly with the family, and a terror to anybody that chooses to hop that fence and come onto their property. The chances are you won't make it if they go after you, and that's super important to me as well. I like fierce guardians, and a fierce guardian does not mean that dog is a danger to the family. That means quite the opposite. That dog will be there to protect and preserve that family. It sees that family as a part of its pack, and if you have a pack and a hierarchy there, an alpha and an established loving bond with that dog, you have a dog that will do great guardian work. Now, this is not that. This story is about Sienna, and Sienna turned out to be one of the most psychotic, craziest dogs I've ever encountered. And a lot of people like to say, yo, there's no such thing as true HA. Dogs don't just randomly go crazy. Well, this one happened. So to keep my breeding program strong, what I would do for every blue moon, I will go outside of my program and I will purchase a couple adult females, right? Or maybe an adult female. That's super rare. I usually breed all the dogs that are in my program, but every now and then I will go outside of my program. And this shows me one of the reasons why I do not like to do that unless I absolutely have to. Unless I bred myself into a corner where I have to find some fresh blood so I can outcross instead of breeding so tight. You can only line breed so much, and you definitely don't want to inbreed too much. I like to outcross, so sometimes you have to get fresh blood. So I had contacted a kennel. I'm not going to say the name because the kennel is well known and a pretty popular kennel on the East Coast, right? So I had contacted them and told them I really like one of their females. Now, he was not looking to sell the female at that time, right? She was super popular. Everybody loved her. She came out of Extreme Bully's blood, right? And I know that Extreme Bully Kennels at that time was known to have some hot blood, but I wasn't really worried about this dog. But once I started looking at her pedigree, I realized later why that might have happened. Now, Sienna was an extremely beautiful bitch. Very striking markings, right? She had really flashy markings. She had a great structure to her, great look to her. She was just a beautiful specimen. And every time I seen her posted up on the forums, on the dog boards, on Facebook and so forth, all the other breeders would comment about how beautiful of a dog she was. She would get thousands and thousands of likes. I mean, there's times where I found her randomly posted up by somebody that didn't even own her on Facebook on just dog fan pages, and she would have 50,000 likes, 70,000 likes. People were going crazy over her. So I was like, you know what? If I was to get this dog and breed it into my stock, she's already being loved by the public, and she has the structure and markings I like, and I really like Extreme Bully's blood and structure. It will be a good thing for my programs. I hit up the guy because I already knew him that actually owned her at that point, and I asked him what was her temperament like, what was she like, and would he be willing to sell her? Now, mind you, this is not a recent story. This story happened earlier in my breeding career. So at this point, I had not encountered a dog that was truly human aggressive or that displayed the rage syndrome and that would just randomly flip on somebody. I was under the belief that all dogs were good dogs and there's no way that there were bad dogs. They're only bad owners. Everybody says that, and I kind of believed that at that point, right? So when I asked the owner, her current owner at that point, about her, he told me that when he bred her during her first litter, he had actually purchased her as an adult himself from somebody else that said she was just too much for them to control. They weren't really dog guys like that, and they sold him to this guy because he was more of a dog man, right? The guy I'm buying them from was more of a dog man. So I asked him what his experience specifically was with her, and he said, well, I decided to breed her, and during her first breeding and only breeding that he did with her, that she got extremely protective and aggressive once the puppies came, that she would challenge him when he walked in the room to try to interact with the puppies. There were times he had to pin her down and he had to submit her. Now I'm gonna show you guys how to submit a dog in another video. I'm actually gonna do that with one of my dogs so you can see, but he would have to challenge her and submit her just to be able to check on the pups, and that he told his wife just to stay out of that room. Now he said prior to that, his wife would take care of her, clean her kennel, interact with her, and although she was standoffish and weird sometimes, that there wasn't true aggression, but that after the pups came, that she really kind of turned up and he got kind of concerned, but they made it through and she had some amazing puppies, but he just didn't have the time to micromanage her, and he just felt like, if you really want to buy her, she's going to be expensive because you see how popular she is. You know her pedigree. She's line bred, Extreme Bully blood. Comet is on both sides of her pedigree, and Comet is a legend. If you guys go check out my XL American Bully Legends book, you will read about Comet. But Comet is a legend, so I definitely wanted to get a hold of her because of that. So I'm like, you know what? This flashy, crazy bitch, send her to me, man. I'm a dog man. Now, one thing you guys need to know about me is I am a dog man through and through. I've never met a dog that didn't like me. Never. Any dog that I've came into contact with loved me. Like when I first started out as a young child, my very first dog came from my Uncle Vic. Now, my Uncle Vic was really into Rottweilers. What he did was he would purchase Rottweilers from top end breeders from across the world, and he worked a lot. So what I would do, there was one specific Rottweiler that I really liked. She was a huge female named Annie, and when he was gone, I'm like 7 or 8 years old. I would sneak into his backyard, and I would take her away from her doghouse because I had developed a bond with this dog, and I would walk her all over the neighborhood. I was proud to be walking with this big old German Rottweiler. She was huge. The German Rotts are bigger than the American Rotts. So I've always had that from day one, where I could just interact with these dogs and they just bonded with me. So my mind state, when he's telling me that he can't handle Sienna, well, he's not saying he can't handle her. He's saying he doesn't have the time to micromanage and just be there every second to make sure everything's okay with her. I'm like, I'm going to bond with this bitch and everything's going to be okay. So we came up with the deal. We came up with the price. It was not cheap. It was a very expensive purchase for me. But you know what? Because of her markings and because of her pedigree, and her previous production, she showed me the pups that she produced for him. Man, they were amazing. I'm like, this is going to be great. I'm going to combine her with Rock. I'm going to combine her with Cujo. I'm going to combine her with some of my other dogs, and she's going to drop some bombs, right? So I told him this. He was in New York. He is in New York, and I'm in LA. So we had to decide what would be a midpoint between New York and LA for him to, he said he didn't want to put the dog on a plane. He didn't want to put Sienna on a plane. He didn't want to give her to a ground transporter. He wanted to meet in person and give the dog over that way, and he would bring the papers with him. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, I run multiple businesses in LA, so I just didn't have the time to get in a rental and drive halfway across the United States to pick up this dog as much as I wanted her. So what I did was I got my friend Abdul. He's a big guy, trained boxer. Just one of my personal friends that I trust very much, man. We've done a lot of different things together, and he's always been very trustworthy. He knows how to handle himself and handle business, and he's dependable. So I had him and my cousin get together and pick up a rental, and we all decided that we would meet, or they would meet, in Wichita, Kansas. We decided that was the halfway mark, right? That he would drive. The breeder that was selling me the dog would drive from New York to Wichita, Kansas, and my two guys would drive from LA to Wichita, Kansas, and there the exchange would take place. They would give Sienna to my friends, and the paperwork for Sienna to my friends, and then they would drive Sienna back to Los Angeles, where I would connect with her, and she would be my dog moving forward, and she'll be part of the BGK breeding program. All right, so everything's set in stone. My guys got the rental, and they set out. The guy from New York, the breeder from New York, got in his rental and grabbed Sienna, and he set out, and then they went to meet in the middle in Wichita, Kansas. Now, my guys had a little incident on their way to Wichita, Kansas. I guess they were speeding through Oklahoma, and I didn't know Oklahoma was can be a racist state. I guess where they were, they seen the California plates on the car. And they got pulled over by the good old boys, and they were asking them, what are you guys doing out here? We know about your California boys. We know what you guys are into. Now, Abdul and my cousin played it cool, and because they knew they wanted to search the vehicle, and the police officers asked them, do you mind if we search the vehicle? And they said, go for it, because they had nothing to hide. We're not doing anything illegal. We're just picking up a dog and bringing it back. That's all we're doing. Legal business, right? So the cops decided to search the car, and they tossed the car, found nothing, gave them a speeding ticket, which, you know, getting a speeding ticket out of state sucks because you got to figure out how to pay for it or go way back out of state to deal with that situation. But anyway, their trip continued, and eventually they ended up in Wichita, Kansas, and met up with the guy from New York who had Sienna. Now, I got a call, and that call was from Abdul, and Abdul was like, hey, man, this female is beautiful, but she's crazy, bro. Like, she will not get, he tried to hand me the leash, and she immediately started growling and acting crazy, and I couldn't even grab the leash from her. I'm like, so what do you got? What's happening right now? I was like, give me the phone. Let me give the other breeder the phone. Let me talk to the breeder. And I'm talking to him like, hey, bro, what's going on? He's like, yeah, hey, man, I told you she was no joke. I tried to give your friend the leash, and I guess she really didn't feel him. He's like, he's a big ass dude, but I don't know why she's not intimidated at all. She looked like she wants to try to eat him. He goes, what I'm going to do is this. I'll put the kennel in the backseat of that rental, and I'll put her inside of the kennel, and then I'll give you the paperwork, and, you know, you guys take it from there. And that should have been a huge red flag to me. Like, honestly, I have to take responsibility at this point. I should have said, you know what? The fact that my guys are having a hard time, I've never had a dog picked up and got a call like this where somebody just could not handle the dog, right? I can hear her growling in the background the whole time too. While we're talking, I'm literally hearing the dog growling in the background. So if anybody's at fault during this transaction, it's me. I guess I'm super optimistic, super excited about getting this standout female, and I'm ignoring red flags where I should have heeded to those red flags because I'm super cautious and super responsible in my breeding program, right? So he put her into our rental car, and he put the leash in the back seat, and he put the papers in the back seat. He got back in the truck that he was in, and he headed back to New York. And my guys got into the rental, and they're headed back to LA. Now, about maybe 12, 14 hours later, I get a call, and it's Abdul again. And he's like, look, bro, look, man, I was going to take her out to use the bathroom, but she will not let me take her out to use the bathroom. If I reach in there, she's going to try to take off my entire arm. I'm like, man, she can't this bitch cannot be this bad. These guys got to be exaggerating. There's no way. I guess I'm still in denial at this point, right? So I'm like, you know what, bro? Do this, man. Just truck it all the way back to LA. If she pees or poops in a rental, I'll deal with it. If I got to pay a cleanup fee in a car, I'll deal with it. If I got to do anything, whatever happens financially, I'll cover it, man. I already paid thousands and thousands of dollars for this dog. What's a $250 cleanup fee? But you know what? The weird thing is she did not pee or poop in that kennel. She held it all the way from Wichita, Kansas, all the way back to Los Angeles. So they finally give me the call, and they're like, we're about 30 minutes away, man. You going to come out and meet us? So I jump in my car, and I go out to meet them. And I'm like, you know what? Just park the rental right there. And as soon as they park the rental in front of my house, the dog is going crazy. Because I go to look at her and see, you know, let me look at this beautiful bitch I just purchased. And when I open the back of that rental door and I look, she is just, I mean, she is going nuts. She's going schizo. So I'm like, hold up. I shut the door. I'm like, Abdul, you need a ride? Because he was in a rental, right? So I went and dropped Abdul off. And I'm like, I'm going to come back and deal with her on my own. So what I did was I came back, and I got into that rental. She's in the back seat. Now, this is a regular sedan. This is not an SUV that they took to go out to Kansas because we didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. So she's literally in the back seat. And the only thing that's separating her from me is a dog crate that she was sitting in. And I started thinking like, man, this must have been a crazy drive from Wichita, Kansas all the way to LA with this dog in the back seat just going schizo. Like every time you make eye contact with her, if you don't make eye contact with her, she's not spazzing on you as much. But the second you look at her and she looks at you and now your eyes lock, that low growl comes out and all of a sudden she spazzes and goes at you, right? So what I did was I took a piece of PVC pipe and I put some rope through that PVC pipe till I was able to make myself a catch pole. That way I can put that around her neck, tighten it around her neck, and use that to pull her out of that crate and then deal with her from there and see what happened. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I tucked the Glock in my back pocket just in case because this bitch was acting like no other dog I had seen in person before. I've never had a dog come at me the way that she did. Not that ferocious. Never, right? I've had dogs try to challenge me, but not like the point where the way she spazzed at me was like, if I could get through this kennel and get a hold of you, I would shred your arm, your face, your neck, and everything else. All right? So I drove her way out to the middle of nowhere, right? We're right in the middle of just emptiness. We're talking about the woods. There's not a house in sight. There's not another car in sight. It's just me and this dog in the crate, and she is still spazzing and going and growling and everything. And I'm just like, you know what? I had my cousin actually follow me, so it wasn't just me. I had my cousin actually follow me in the SUV, and I'm in the rental because I wanted him to take the situation. So what happened was when I parked, I opened that back door and I went to pop that kennel door. The second I reached towards that kennel door, she's going crazy. I'm like, man, I was able to pop it open and yank my hand back, and she didn't grab my hand. But now she's looking, I'm like, okay, is she gonna run at me and attack me, or she's gonna stay cowered back? Now, I can sense that it's starting to be a fear thing right now because she's cowering in the back of the kennel. The door of the kennel is open. If she really wanted to rush across that car and come out and attack me, there was nothing stopping her from doing so, right? So she's not coming out, and I'm not about to reach in there because I know if I enter her space, she's absolutely going to shred whatever arm is entering that crate, right? So what I did was I took the catch pole, the homemade catch pole that I had made, and I slipped it in the box. She's growling at it as it comes in, but I was able to get that loop around her head, and then I tightened that loop down, and after I tightened that loop down, I started pulling and pulling and pulling until I was able to pull her in the back seat and then out of that back seat and onto the ground. At this point, she's still growling and growling, and I had to make a choice. I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I took the catch pole off of her, and I just approached her, And as I took the catch pole off, I should be more clear. I pulled her towards me and I started petting her. And I thought she was going to chew my hand, but I was like, if I show fear right now in this moment, this is a make or break moment. If I show fear right now, she's absolutely going to attack me. She's big enough to do some serious damage, and I have one recourse, and that's to shoot her. And I do not want to kill this dog. So I pulled her to me, and I started petting her, and I'm talking to her. Hey, you know what? One thing I can tell you, talk to your animals, talk to your dogs. Do they understand your words? They may or may not, but what they do understand is your energy, your tone, your body language. They're reading all that, your pheromones. What you don't realize is these dogs are reading all these things, and they're doing it instantaneously in that second, in that moment. And there's no way to fake it. If you're truly terrified and just scared, or if you're a threat and they feel that you're a threat, they're going to respond accordingly, meaning they're going to attack you. There's no way to fake this. This part I don't know how to teach. It's just a part of who I am as a person after dealing with dogs for over 15 years, 20 years at this point, right? So I pulled her to me, I started petting her, and she started to calm down. And she's letting me touch her. She's letting me pet her back. Now I took the catch pole all the way off of her, and I'm keep petting her, I'm talking to her, and I'm caressing her, and she's chilled out. She realizes I'm not a threat, and she chose to make a bond with me in that moment. She didn't choose violence. I thought she might wake up and choose violence that day, but she didn't at that moment. And I petted her. And then my cousin couldn't believe it. He was like, man, I can't believe you're sitting here petting her right now. And she's been trying to chew her face off the entire trip back from Kansas. And as soon as we met her, she was trying to chew her face off. I'm like, I'm a dog man. What can I say? Some things can't be taught. So I take her and I put her in the front seat of the rental, believe it or not. I'm building trust with her at this moment, right? And I did have some treats in my pocket. Let me be clear. The first thing I did after I was caressing her was I kept feeding her treats, building the bond as quickly as possible with this adult psychotic dog, apparently, right? So I put her back in the front seat, and I had nothing around her neck, no leash, nothing. I put her back in the front seat, and I got in the front seat sitting beside her, and I took a video with my phone, and I sent it over to the guy in New York. I'm like, look. He was like, dude, I cannot believe she's sitting in the front seat next to you right now. Wow. I was like, bro, she's going to be fine, bro. There's no big deal. I told you she's going to be cool. I heard everything you said, but you don't understand. I'm a dog man. I was really feeling myself in that moment, right? So I drove her all the way back to the house with her sitting in the front seat next to me, and she was just chilling out. And my daughter came rushing outside when I pulled her in the front yard. I'm like, no. Don't rush out here right now. I'm just barely got a bond with this dog. I do not want you, because she's so used to petting and being around any and every dog on my property. Immediately, that was her first thought. And that was my first thought was, no, she can't, because I know she doesn't understand that there can be a dangerous dog because she hasn't encountered one, and she's been around Pitbulls her entire life, or XL American Bullies her entire life. So that was a big problem for me. I had to make sure she understood this is different. Now, I had one of the buildings on my property dedicated just for her. And man, was she spoiled, because inside of that building was perfect. I mean, it was insulated. You had heat, you had air conditioning, anything she wanted was right there. And that was my main space. I would hang out all the time. So I would go out there every day, interact with her. I would hang out there, give her food, let her come out. She would just hang out with me. We started bonding really quick. Over the next few weeks, I spent every single day with this dog, interacting. I wasn't letting anybody else do it. I would take her for walks. I would give her food. I would have her laying on my lap. I mean, we bonded. So me and this dog got a bond to the moment that I didn't have her anymore. She never, ever challenged me again. She decided that I was an alpha and that she loved me, and that was that. So to this day, I still haven't met a dog that I can't control, but the problem was not with me. The problem was with my daughter and my kennel helpers. She started acting like she wanted to attack them, and it was very unstable. She would do it randomly. There would be times where she would interact with the kennel help, and she would be okay. They would be able to give her food. They would be able to pet her, and then they would stare her in the eyes, and in that moment, when they stared her in the eyes, her eyes would like glaze over, and the next thing you know, she's flipping out again. I'm like, what the hell? Like, she was literally just interacting with you, and she was okay. So I told my daughter, like, I don't trust this dog enough. No matter, it's been weeks, yeah. And she's like, she's so good with you, Dad. She's fine with you, Dad. Yeah, she's fine with me, but I don't trust her with you, because I'm gonna tell you what. That's how I judge if I want to keep a dog in my yard, is how she interacts with how the dogs interact with my daughter. That's the true telltale, right? And one thing I did notice, there's a few times where Sienna would be at my fence line, and she's a great guard dog as well. She's looking at the other side of the fence, and she's barking at somebody on the other side of that fence, and I will call her, hey, Sienna, come here, Sienna, come here, girl. Now, when I'm calling Sienna, she doesn't turn around. I'm like, why doesn't this dog turn? Sienna. She doesn't turn around. I would have to take a rock and throw it next, like way over to where she was, and throw it next to her, and that rock would bounce and catch her attention, and then she would turn around and realize I was there. So I'm like, okay, I need to take her to the vet. So I slapped the muzzle on her, took her over to the vet, and it turns out that Sienna is pretty much deaf. She can't hear. So I'm thinking part of this aggression, now only part of it, because there's times where she displayed it where she could see you and she knew you were there, was a defense mechanism for her not having her hearing, right? I'm thinking that's what it is. But I need to go out of town for my different businesses. And as I was going out of town, the only way for me to have her taken care of was to leave a big water bowl and a big old food bowl so she could have something to eat and drink over the weekend. And I would just have to clean her kennel when I got back on Monday. And that's not really fair to a dog, because our dog's kennels are cleaned every single day, sometimes twice a day. And I didn't like doing that, right? That really made me nervous. Now, the final breaking point for me was one time I was hanging out with Sienna in the backyard. And when I was hanging out with her in the backyard, my cousin started walking through the backyard. And as he was walking through the backyard, he seen Sienna, but he wasn't really reacting. But Sienna did react. She didn't attack him right away, but she got this look in her eyes, and Nick glazed over. And I told him, hey, Cuzzo, back up, bro. She's about to trip. He kept coming forward. He didn't realize there was a threat there, but I know this dog now. I can read her energy, right? I'm like, Cuzzo, hold up. He's like, nah, man, it's cool. And as he did that, she lunged forward and she was about to try to kill him, and I knew it. And I dove on her, bro. I dove on her and I pinned her to the ground. Like, I didn't even go for a submission hold, because this was just spur of the moment. I know it's about to happen. She's about to try to kill him, and he doesn't even realize it because he's been desensitized by being around her so much. So as he is walking towards and I spring on her, he realizes this dog is trying to kill me, and he starts running towards the bedroom door to get into the sliding glass door. And as he runs towards that door, Sienna is fighting me tooth and nail. She's doing everything but biting me. She respects me enough to not bite me as an alpha, but she's scratching and scratching. I got scratches up and down my arms, my neck, my chest, because I'm just laying on top of her pinner, and she's scratching and scratching. And he runs in there and he slams that glass door behind him, and I jump up so she can be free and I can stop getting the shit scratched out of me. And she ran and threw herself against that glass door because she wanted to get that man that bad. And when she threw herself against the glass door, by the time she reached that glass door, none of her paws were on the ground. She's throwing her full weight into this door. She's trying to get through there. And she backed up the door again, and I snatched her up, and I took her over to the other building and put her in her kennel. I'm like, yo, that is way too close for comfort. All right. And now, by the way, I got people that are banging my door down after I posted her online saying, oh my God, I can't believe you picked her up. She's the most beautiful bitch. She's going to go so perfect with your BGK blood. You're going to create some of the most beautiful puppies. How much money do you want for these puppies? They were offering me insane amounts of money for her pups. And I had to make a decision. They don't know, because online you can't look at a picture and know if this bitch is as crazy and batshit as she is. And obviously the other breeder never told anybody outside of me the kind of mental issues that he was dealing with this female. So I told everybody something different. Until this moment, when people watch this video, they're going to realize why I never bred and sold the pups from Sienna, because I never told them this. What I told them was I decided that she wasn't going to be a match, and nobody even made sense of that. They're like, what do you mean she's not going to be a match? She has the perfect pedigree. She has the perfect look, perfect structure. Her previous puppies were fire. We can't believe that Andre BGK is not going to breed this bitch. And I didn't want to out the other breeders, so I was just like, nah, I don't think I'm going to breed her. I'm going to pet home her. In reality, I did not decide to pet home her. I decided to call her. There's no way I could pet home a bitch this dangerous. Yes, she was no threat to me. And if I was just a single man living alone with her, she would be the perfect guard dog. She would be the perfect guard dog to have around. But seeing as I have a daughter, I have family members that come in and out of that house, I have kennel helpers that are in danger, I had to decide to call her at that moment, man. And that was a sad thing. So one of my guys decided to ride with me over to put her down, because I had to go put her down. And when we were riding to put her down, she seemed, this is the weirdest thing, there was times where she was so calm and so passive and so sweet tempered that you forgot that that demon was lurking inside of her, man, I swear. So when we got to the gas station, now imagine this, she's sitting in the back seat, not in the kennel or anything, because I'm in the car, so I'm not worried about it. And she's sitting in the back seat riding with us, and my friend gets out to pump the gas. And when he goes around to pump the gas and she can see him through the back window, she flips out and reminds me why I'm taking her over to get called. She flips out and is trying to kill him, like through the door, right? So I calm her back down, And after I calm her down, he's able to get back in the car and we drive over to the vet that's going to put her down. And I told him to stay in the car, man. Stay in the car. So I put the muzzle on her and I walk her in there. And I'm sitting in that waiting room, man, and this is just a bad time for me as a breeder, because even though I'm seeing that this dog is unstable and I've clearly decided I'm not going to breed her and that she's got to be called, man, I just did not want to put her down because we have a bond. We had a bond, a super strong bond, man. I love this dog. I love her. I loved everything about her besides that unstable, human aggressive rage syndrome that she was displaying. And I just knew that, you know, I had to make a hard decision, and the decision I was making was the right one, and that was to put her down. So when they came in here, I filled out all the paperwork for them to put her down. And they're like, man, that is, even the vets that are putting her down, like, man, that's such a gorgeous dog. Do you think she should go with one of the members of our staff? We'd be happy to take her off your hands. I'm like, no, the reason why I'm putting her down is because she spazzes out sometimes like she just wants to kill somebody. And they're like, I can't believe it. And here's the weird thing. She never once growled or barked at any of the vets in that building. Right? They came in and they asked me to lay her on the side on this tray with wheels, and I laid her there and I was petting her so she would stay calm, and they gave her the first shot. They explained that, like, the first shot is going to put her to sleep and the second shot is going to take her out of life. She won't be here with us anymore. So I was there and I was rubbing her and I was petting her, and this was hard, bro, because I didn't want to leave and walk out of that building while she was being euthanized, because I didn't want her to wake up and flash on everybody. So they gave her the first shot and she completely relaxed, and this is just sad because I kept petting her the entire time, even when she was her eyes closed. I watched her eyes close, and then they said, the second shot we're giving her right now, this is gonna do it. And they gave her the second shot, and that was the end of Sienna. That was the end of Sienna. R.I.P. Sienna, I miss you, but I know I did the right thing for the right reasons, and I can't have any dogs that I'm going to breed in my breeding program displaying any of those human aggressive or rage syndrome traits. That's just not an option for me, right? I am very, very big on being a responsible breeder and being an advocate for the breed and being an ambassador for the breed, and that entails making decisions that we don't like to tell you guys about, which means there's some dogs that just are not going to fit our breeding program if you have any type of standards. And over the last 10-15 years that we've had a kennel, there's not been one person, not one dog owner, not one client that's ever been attacked by a BGK dog that owned one, right? Now, there's been people that broke into somebody's house and damn near lost their life, and I'm okay with that, because you're breaking into somebody's property, you get whatever comes with that. You're putting your own life in jeopardy. Now, I will tell you this, if you're breaking into a dog, if you're breaking into a home or breaking onto a property that's owned by a BGK dog, the chances of you surviving that are probably pretty low. But the owners and the family of the owners have never been attacked by a BGK dog till this day, and I'm going to keep that intact no matter what kind of hard decisions I got to make. And I also want to tell you guys this, whether you buy a dog from me or from somebody else, it doesn't matter where you go, please do the research on the bloodlines and the temperaments that are attached to these dogs. I'm not going to say any names, but there's been certain kennels that have had dogs that have turned on people and killed people, and they still kept on breeding those same dogs till this day. Matter of fact, can you guys do me a favor in the comment section? If you know of any kennel that's had a dog that's attacked somebody unprovoked, or have attacked an owner, or have killed somebody, please say the name of those kennels in the comments so people that watch this video can gain information both from the video that they're watching as well as the comment section about people's experiences with kennels that have bred dogs that turned on people, because they need to be exposed. And I know some of them, and I know you guys do too. So please drop a comment saying if you know about a kennel that has bred a dog that has either attacked somebody unprovoked, if you know of a bloodline that's a dangerous bloodline and has been attacking people, or if you know of a dog that's actually killed people that came from a kennel that's still around right now. Put that in the comment section. Please do your research, because all bloodlines are not created equal, and that's one thing I'm super proud of with BGK Kennels is we produce super stable dogs. Matter of fact, I just sent one out to a good friend of mine in Louisiana, and the dog came out of Debo and Coco, and he was kind of talking to me, and I was like, look, this dog definitely has guardian instincts, and it's a little bit older. I think the pup is 5-6 months old. I'm like, this is a little bit older pup, but you don't have to worry about it with my dogs. And he called me, he was so happy when he got there, how it bonded with his kids immediately, how it bonded with this other dog immediately, and how it bonded with him immediately. He's like, man, it's like we always had this dog. I'm like, you know what? But when that dog gets to be a year and a half, he better meet all the friends that you're going to have him meet, because after that, you're going to see the other side. They definitely have those guardian instincts. Do your research. Make sure you don't just bring any dog into your home and around your family, because yes, there are some XL American bullies and also some pit bulls that run hot and have human aggression and are not stable. And I would not trust them around my kids or my family, and I wouldn't expect somebody else to do so. So don't just believe every single dog is just the same and it's only the owners. No, there are some human aggressive dogs that display rage syndrome. Look up rage syndrome. It's a real thing, right? So you want to stay away from that. Do your research. Please do your research. Remember, BGK's motto, quality matters. I've really been enjoying sharing my stories with you guys. These are all true stories. They all really happened to me, and I feel like it's a better way for you guys to get to know me, my dogs, their temperaments, the different situations we've encountered behind the scenes. Now, I would also like to get to know you guys and hear some of your stories. It doesn't need to be a BGK dog, just as long as it's dog related. If it's interesting and dog related, please send in your story to bgkstorytime@gmail.com. That's bgkstorytime@gmail.com. Make sure you include who you are. If you have social media, include your social media, because we will definitely announce who the story is from when we read your story on our story time, and that will give us a chance to share each other's stories on my channel. Now, I'd love to hear it. Again, if you have a good story about your dog or a dog that you knew or a dog story that you heard about, make sure that it's true. We don't want to say any untrue stories here. Send it to bgkstorytime@gmail.com and we'd be happy to read it. Andre BGK, and I'm out. We have a raw dog food coming out. It'll be available in about 3 weeks. It's organic. It's USDA approved. It is made by all organic USDA approved content. It is made at a USDA approved factory. So everything about this is top tier. We always say quality matters. So we're not going to go give you a dog food that isn't top quality. It contains everything you would want. It contains the organs. It contains the meat. It contains fish, as far as the omega-1, the omega-3. Dude, this, I don't even want to say much more. I will give you some more details as it comes out, but we're really excited to introduce this to the public. Coming soon to a store near you, or you can order it directly from our website, however you like to do it. Salute to Bearski, my new partner. I look forward to what we're doing in the future, man. It's going to be huge. It's going to be crazy. And also, if you guys want to pick up my books, go to the website, BigGeminiKennels.com, right here. BigGeminiKennels.com, and check us out. I actually have a combo special. If you don't have both of the books, go ahead and grab both of the books. You can only get that on my website. You can only get the combo deal for both of the books for a lower price on my website. But you can also purchase my books on Amazon.com. If you like to purchase it from there, I suggest you get it from my website, but I'm happy for you to purchase it on Amazon if you like to. All right, Andre BGK, and I'm out.